Good evening, my sisters and my brother in Christ. I'm here to do the lesson on today on Deborah engaged to Barak. Deborah encouraged Barak. Sorry. Deborah encouraged Barak. Time was 1237 BC. Judges from chapter 4, Judges 4 through 10 and 12 through 16. When I look at this lesson of Deborah encouraged Barak, I thought about the people today that don't want a woman to be in the pulpit. But that's a whole different outline. But what I'm talking about right now is Deborah, who encouraged to Barak to fight the war going on in Israel. Even right now, the war is still going on in Israel. They have defeated Israel war. Our golden text today is, and Deborah said unto Barak, Up, get up from here, up, get up, for this is the day in which the Lord had delivered Syria into thy hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? When you look at that, the introduction is Joshua here had fought with King Jabin of Hazor and defeated him. In the time of the judges, another region despot from Hazor with the same dynastic name oppressed Israel for 20 years. Jabin's rule was enforced by his chieftain Syria of Hazorah. Deborah is the only woman among the judges raised up by God to deliver Israel. She was already a prophetess serving in the hill country of Israel when she challenged Barak to revolt against the Canaanite. She herself joined Barak in the assault against Syria's army and joined with him in celebrating the victory. Deborah was already held in high esteem for her work as a settler of civil disputes, which not only she was a prophetess, but she was also a judge who settled dispute. But she settled her dispute. She had court under a palm tree because the palm tree it recommends something. The palm tree recommends peace and fruitfulness. And she had her court under a palm tree. And she was known as settling dispute, and she was a known woman of God. She believed what God said. She believed if God said we're gonna have a battle, we're gonna win. She herself believed in her God. But when it come to Barak, Barak didn't have the faith that she had, and God spoke to Barak first, and Barak said, I'll go only if Deborah will go with me. We need more Deborah today because people are scared of going anywhere and everywhere. But Deborah was not afraid because she know if the Lord take her there, he gonna bring her out, whatever going on there. And there was another woman involved in the drama of that day was Joel, wife of Heber, the Kenites, inviting the fleeing Syria into her tent while she hid him under a blanket while he rested from exhaustion. Then she dispatched him with a hammer and a long nail while he slept. That's a horrible way to die and a horrible way to get rid of you. But we got three outline here. We got properties, we got program, excuse me, we got properties, we got procrastinated, and we got prophecy. The outline of Judges 4 through 5, prostration, Judges 4, 6 through 10, and prophecies, Judges 4, 12 through 16. when I look at Deborah, Deborah is a female. Now notice now, this is a female prophet, and people have today women shouldn't be in the pulpit. But let me tell you one thing, people. You can't tell God who to use, and God can use anything and anybody to get His work done. Was it a child, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, whether it's a lady or a man, if you're gonna get the job, God work done, God will use anybody. Who is you to tell that God don't call women to preach when the Bible tell you I will pour my spirit up on all flesh, women and men? Well, first of all, the first woman in the Bible was a preacher. The first preacher in the Bible was a woman, which just said, come and see a man that's told everything about me. She had a sermon in her heart. Now, Deborah is a female prophet, a woman who speaks for God by divine inspiration, a woman who is a spokesperson of some doctrine, the wife or female companion of a prophet. Now notice not just Deborah, but there are 7 prophetesses in the Bible: are Sarah, Myron, Deborah, Hannah, Abigail, Esther, Jude, and also Ruth. All of these women were prophetesses. That means that she spoke on God's behalf. Prosperated the action of delaying or postponing something, your first tip. Now, even though she was a prophet, she also was a judge. So she postponed some things. But she was a woman that always believed that God would take care of the people. Prophecy, to speak as divinity inspired, to give instruction, to religion matter, preach to make a prediction. Judge for him is really saying, after the Israelite people returned to wickedness, that's what they have returned. Not return means they are already out of wickedness, but they return back to themselves. They return back to wickedness. And sometimes we people are in the church. We people who claim to be born believer and God people, we sometimes ourselves return back to our old ways, return back to wickedness. My people, I'm going to tell you this here. If God deliver you from anything, don't go back in it. If God deliver you from hatred, don't hate. If He deliver you from envy and strife and jealousy, don't put that in your spirit. If He deliver you from crack or alcohol or any sin in your life, don't go back in that, because He keep on delivering Israel over and over again for their rebellions against Him. After all what God did for Israel, and I'm not going to use Israel, I'm going to use as in today's plan, because after all what God did for you, after all what God did for me, why return rebel against God? He all you have. So the Israelite returned to wickedness. God submit them to Jabin and the Canaanites. After 20 years, the Lord raised up a deliverer called Barak through his prophetess Deborah. Israel ability, the enemy army, and the general is slaughtered in his sleep by a woman. The general was slaughtered in his sleep by a woman. It just say right there in the introduction, after he went to sleep, he was slaughtered by a woman. The book of Judges is an argument for the people needing a king. We need kings today. We need preachers today. We need prophetesses and prophets today. God, we need a leader. And my belief, we have a good leader. The argument for the people needing a king to lead them. The book also teaches us about sin. The whole reason the judges were needed was because the people of God kept rebelling. And we ourselves, my people, each day that we keep on rebelling against God. We know God's word and we know what God said. We know what the teachers is teaching us and telling us, but still we burden us against God's word. Judges 4:4 say, and Deborah. God had called Barak first, but now he's saying, and Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Labador. That's a Barak, that's his name, Labador. She judges Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree. Like I said, it was something about the palm tree. She had court under the tree because there was a sense of peace, a sense of fruitfulness under that palm tree. Of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ingram. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment for their sin, for the wrong that they have done. They have to be judged. This means going right, depending on the translation. She made it clear that the time to heed into battle against Syria is right now. Deborah insisted that might be more than just encouragement, favoring armor, and poison on the high ground of Mount Tabor. Yet they went down and engaged Syria's army. But like I said, Barak also asked Deborah to go with him because he knew Deborah was a woman of God. He knew Deborah claimed to be taught to God. Barak to me didn't have a lot of faith. He didn't have none at all. And sometimes God had to send a woman. And sometimes today, God's still sending women's preachers to prophesy, to prophetess. So we got some preachers right now that I know, even in the Baptist churches, that don't believe in women's preach. But let me tell you one thing, my brother and my sister. Women's always been preachers in the world. Women's always had taught the Bible and preached and did what God wanted them to do. We women's always have been there. It not just sometimes we have to send a woman because sometimes some men get too scared to say what they gonna say and to do what they gonna do. But God, this time God used a woman. It had to be the first time because He said this time God sent a woman. So Deborah here heard from God, shared His word with Barak. What Deborah heard from God, she shared it with Barak. You know, Barak was her husband. So you got two names, Barak and Labador. But Barak is her husband. So Deborah heard from God, shared His word with Barak. God used His people to do His will. Don't care who you are. If God can use you, let Him use you. But today, church, we don't even know our purpose. We all over the place. We everywhere. Everybody in God's house, everybody in God's church have a purpose. We all got different purposes, but we serve the purpose that God wants us to do. One thing, our purpose we all got, and that is to be a servant of God. That is the purpose. Served in what manner? You know that, but we all have a purpose, and that is to be a servant. And people today don't want to be a servant to God. We don't want to be a servant to people. In order to be a servant to God, you got to serve the people. God used His people to do His will in the manner He sees fit. The prophecy He gave to Deborah was clear, and God was faithful to fulfill it. Even today, God is still faithful to fulfill His purpose. Whoever He want to, prophecies and programmator and prophecy. And when I look at this here, test him, my brother and my sister, we are not told whether there was a direct connection between her role as a prophetess and her role as a judge in Israel. Prophets and judges are connected in that Deborah was a leader. More relevant is that judges is used here and settling dispute, rather than deliver the oppressed. She also was settling dispute between certain countries and certain people, and Israel and people. And when you look at today's lesson, this week's lesson open a new dimension of thinking. God can use any person he wants to fulfill his plan and purpose in this world. Once he chose to use a woman who was a leader and a prophetess, there were 13 judgments in all who led Israel in time of crisis. Deborah was one of them, chosen by God for such a time as this. Now, she wasn't chosen by her husband, she was chosen by God. And any time when you choose by God, people can't tell you nothing. People can't stop you, because God gonna get his work done, and he gonna use you for his purpose. He gonna use you to dispute certain purpose. Whether it's at the household or in the household of God, but God used his people for his purpose. And Deborah was chosen by God, even such as a time as this. Right now, Israel right now fighting every day. They need some Deborah over there. We right now in the United States, politicians, men and president, government fighting against one another. We might need a Deborah there, because we right now can't seem to agree to anything. We want to do what we want to do. We want to do like we want to do. All this commotion and all this misunderstanding. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. When you find us doing everything, we really ain't doing nothing. We ought to do one thing at a time. We need somebody to settle all this anguish and all this immortality and all this fighting against us, even in the world today. And not just talking about the world in your neighborhood. I'm really talking about the church that we are in today. People are fighting against one another. We in a war right now, whether you believe it or not. We already in a war, not just a war over in Israel or over in the other foreign country. We in a war right now. Every day of our life, we have to fight to stay with God. Every day of our life, we have to have some kind of dispute with some saint, some evil spirit to stay with God. We are at war every time we wake up, every time we go to bed. We are in war with God, even in our household with our own people and children. That's a war going on, people. And we need some Deborahs to help dispute that war. They help make it all right. They always put God in some, always use God in some. And Deborah always heard from God. And when she decided to go anywhere, she made sure God sent her. See, people, we go everywhere. All that ain't God. God ain't sending you everywhere. How can God send you to a house that got a dispute and your house all messed up? Sometimes we got to straighten our own life out. Sometimes we got to fix our own heart, because that's a war right now inside of us. And every day we wake up, we need to ask God to fix our heart, to fix our mind, because that's a war going on with you. Can't help people if you all jacked up from the floor up. You can't help, you can't fight no war for God when you can't fight your own war for yourself. You can't fight no war from God if you hating on one another and despising one another and cutting your eyes at one another and won't speak to one another. How you gonna fight a war? In other words, you can't fight a war, you sure can't win one. We ourselves had to fix ourselves off and do what Deborah did to hear the voice of the Lord. Barak he know if he go by himself, he wasn't gonna win no war. So he told God, I can't go. If Deborah go with me, I'll go. But if Deborah don't go with me, I'm not going. Because I know they gonna mess me up. So I need some Deborah, because Deborah is closer to you than I am, Barak. And you gotta realize that. Today, I am to see how God chosen leader when they are needed. God only chooses leaders when they are needed. You ain't needed everywhere. God ain't sending you everywhere. Yes, he might send you on a mission here and a mission there, but we right now want to go everywhere. It ain't for you because there are other leaders. God ain't sending you to Highland Park. They got preachers in Highland Park. God ain't sending you to Bumney Hill all the every day, all in your neighborhood. There are other people. There are other preachers. Wait on God to send you somewhere. If God don't send you, don't go, my brother and my sister. Because it ain't going to be nice and it ain't going to be pretty. Deborah knew that God was raising her up to do what? To fight this war. Not only fight this war, but win this war. When you read your lesson, you read down in the last paragraph of your lesson, you're going to see how they won the war. But Barak pursued after the carrier and after the host unto Hosheshat of the Gentile. And all the hosts of Syria fell up on the edge of the sword. All of them fell. And there was not a man left. Even and the Lord discomfited Syria and all his carriers and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak. So that Syria lightened down on his carrier and he flee away. He ran on feet. He was scared. He was afraid. But the key was he was defeated. Because God, let me tell you one thing, people, God take care of his people. You got to believe that. You don't have no, God don't give you this sign of fear. You don't have no fear. I'm scared to go here. I'm scared to go there. God don't give you the spirit of fear because you are God's child. And you know if God send you there, you go there. And if God tell you to talk and you preach, you do that. If God tell you to prophesy, you do that. But make sure that it's God and not you. Make sure it not only some God, make sure it's all of God and none of you, because you will mess it up. You will even mess it up or you'll get messed up. Because folks ain't having it today. Make sure you are full of the Holy Ghost. Make sure you are full of God's word. Make sure you have been fasting and praying day and night. And when God sends you, he'll take care of you. And when you get there, you make sure they see God in you. Don't be a part of the problem. Be a problem fixer. The lesson opened with the Israelites under Canaanites oppression, since they had time to do what was right in their own eye. Now, ain't that a problem? We always trying to do right in our own eye. Your own eye ain't always right. Sometimes your eyes be so wrong. You want to do what you want to do. You want to do like you want to do, when you want to do. You even want to pray when you get ready. Why not the Bible say you shall always pray and not faint? Only when you get in trouble, you want to pray. Only when you need something from God, you want to pray. But what about you always praying for yourself? But what about other folks? Other folks need your prayers too. What about praying for your neighbors? It's always about you, me, and I. It ain't always about you. Sometimes we have to pray for other people, but it's possible to pray for other people in their war and trying to help them with their problem and their battle when we all jacked up ourselves. After their proud deliverance through Ehud, Israel had forgotten God. Israel had forgotten God and had strayed from him. And that's like some of us. Sometimes we act like we don't even know God. Sometimes we act like God not even in us. Sometimes we act like we don't even know him. When you get to the house of God, you got to tell you to raise your hand. When you get to the house of God, we got to tell you to clap your hands or pat your feet, sing along. If God done anything for you in today, even this morning or last night, you got a right to clap your hand. You got a right to sing a Zion song. You have right because God had made a way for you. Didn't have to wake you up this morning. Didn't have to lay you down last night. People dying every day up and down the highway. They died in thousands of numbers. Here we are right now, got the breath in our body. Here we are right now, got the activities of our limb. And we still, when you want to get, we want to sit down on Lord. When you get to the church, we got to ask you to stand. You ain't got enough sense to stand up for the Lord. Some of you Holy Ghost filled, fight baptized, running for your life, and you won't even stand up for God. We gotta beg you to stand. When you get to the church, you only want to treat one or two people. What about everybody? Be kind to all your preachers. Don't get kind just to one of them. Love all of them. Be kind to all of them, because we all were called by God. We all got a message from God. No, I'm not the pastor. No, I'm not the apostle, but I still have a call on my life from God. I'm still one of his preachers. You still one of his preachers. Why not love one and don't love the other? You can't love all of them, don't love none of them. Because it'll be a sad day when you in church for 50 years or 75 years and you get before God and he said, depart from me, you work of iniquity. All these years wasted, all this time wasted. For what? Because you want to be selfish. Because you want to stay in your clique. Because you want to do it your way. You want to, by my eye, I do the way I see. You can't do things what you see. Because what you say ain't what you see ain't all good. And what you say ain't all good. Some of that's bad. You got to real. It ain't the big thing that we do, my friend and my sister. It's a small thing, but you got to realize one thing in this life. There is a war. That's a war going on in you right now, and it grow on every day. Called jealousy, called hate, called low down, called dirty. Don't like you, don't care about you. But the Bible says every day, how can you love me you have not seen? And you can't stand the folk that you see and meet every day. Get that straight, my friend, because that's a war right there. It's not the same war that Deborah is fighting. Yes, but we fighting war like this here within ourselves, within our mind, within our mouth. Things we say, things we do. We need to get this thing together, my people. Because God is not marked whatsoever man so that should he also weep. You got to believe that, my friend. This time he sent a woman. And not only he sent a woman, she was handpicked by God, and she was handpicked for his purpose. God handpicked her. And you can't pick no better if you've been handpicked. He handpicked her. To let people know that I sent her. Anytime God sends somebody, anytime God got enough faith in you to send you and know you're going to get the job done, yes, I'm going to be with you. You're not going by yourself. I'm sending you to speak for me, but I'm going to work through you, and you're going to work through me. Deborah introduction. Prepare to meet Deborah. All we are told is that she was the wife of Labrador, and that she was already recognized as a property in the nation as a judge. She was considered to be a wise woman. And we women in the church, we need to be wise. And people came to her to have their dispute settled, argument settled. They all came to her because she was not just a property, she was a judge also. She did this under what came to be known as the palm of Deborah between the city of Ramah and Bethel in the hill country, Israel. Even in the church today, we ought to recognize believers who have the wisdom of God. If you got the wisdom of God, you need to be, you got the wisdom of God, they can help resolve many of your conflict issues. If you got the wisdom of God, you need to understand that. If you got the wisdom of God, you need to do what God say do. If you have the wisdom of God, you ought to act like you got the wisdom of God. Not just talk about it, but act like you got the wisdom of God. We right now got everything but the wisdom of God. You need to understand God's purpose. You need to understand how God works. You need to understand what God tell you to do. God, don't be all over the place, because it takes more than one person to take care of a whole building of God. It takes more than one person to take care of a neighborhood. It takes more than one person to do the work of God. God use anybody and everybody as he can. Don't think now in time because you can't do this, but you find your purpose, what you can do with God. Deborah know her purpose. She went all over the place. She know what she had to do. Barak know what he had to do. But whatever they did, they got the job done. Because when no man standing, they all were dead. One character got off his character and he fled on feet. Whatever God sent you in, my brother, my sister, he'll send you there for a purpose. My time is up. But you sit there and you wait on God, you wait on your purpose, and you do what God tells you to do, and you will be all right. Quit trying to do everybody else's job. If you just do what you're supposed to do, you'll be all right. And I'm out of here. God bless you. Bye-bye.